I don't know if we spoke about this actually, but maybe it's a good opportunity to speak about the concept of Muktzah. Muktzah is something which was created by the rabbis. Now, if you grow up Muktzah is just, you grow up with Muktzah. You touch anything, no, you can't touch that, it's Muktzah. You look at something, no, you can't look at that, it's Muktzah. You think that you're going, no, you can't think that, it's Muktzah. It's like, Muktzah is this all-encompassing thing that you can't do it. Whatever it is, you can't do it, it's Muktzah. What is Muktzah? Muktzah is something that was put into place by the rabbis to avoid something more serious. It's like a fence that goes up in order to protect. So, for example, there is no Torah prohibition against carrying a pen on Shabbos if you've got an Eruv, right? If you've got a place where you can carry. There is no Torah prohibition. The Torah doesn't say you can't carry a pen. So the rabbis came along and said, you know what, you're not allowed to carry a pen. Why not? So the logic is very simple. It really is. You carry a pen 6 days a week. What do you do with your pen? You write with it, right? You carry a pen on Shabbos, the chances are that you'll just whip it out of your pocket and you'll start writing something because that's what you do all week long. So the rabbis came along. They said, "Hold on a second. We've got a good idea over here. We're gonna prohibit even touching the pen. Don't pick it up. Don't carry it around with you. Don't have anything to do with it. And that way on Shabbos you're not going to make the mistake of using it. If you do make the mistake of picking it up, that's one step removed still from using it. Hopefully you'll realize that what you've done is wrong." That's where the concept of Muktzah comes from. Muktzah is something which it's pretty broad. Right? It runs along all different kinds of things that we do on Shabbos that we're not, things that we can do and things that we can't do and how we can do them. And the idea is, like I said, the idea is there to serve as a fence. Mishnah in Pirkei Avos says that you should make sayagim. A sayag is a fence. Make fences around. Make things easier. Where does this all come from? The idea of making a fence. So it's something which actually wends its way back right to the very beginning. When HaKadosh Baruch Hu created Adam and Eve, so he told them not to eat from the tree of knowledge. Adam, according to one medrash, Adam came to Eve and he decided that he was going to make this even more extreme. So he says God said, don't eat from the tree of knowledge and don't touch the tree of knowledge either, because if you do, you're going to die. What happened? The snake comes along and tells Eve, eat from the tree of knowledge. And Eve says, not allowed to eat from it, we're not allowed to touch it either. And the snake, being smarter than that, pushes Eve against a tree and says to her, look, the same way that you touched the tree and nothing happened, so if you eat from the tree, nothing's going to happen either. It's all a bubba mice. Somebody just made this up. So she ate from the tree. So the sages say that Adam's mistake over here wasn't that he didn't want Eve to touch the tree. Adam's mistake over here was that he didn't explain to her the logic behind it. And instead of coming along and saying, God said don't eat from the tree, and God says don't touch the tree, what he should have done is he should have come along and he should have said, listen, God says we're not allowed to eat from the tree. So I've got a great idea. Let's just not go anywhere near the tree, right? We won't touch the tree. If we're not around the tree to begin with, then we won't come to eat from the tree either. Moshe Rabbeinu, he learned that lesson. It says that HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu that the Jews are not allowed to touch Har Sinai. If they touch Har Sinai, they're going to die. So what did Moshe do? He put a fence around, not right next to it, around with a little boundary between the two. And he told everybody, don't go over the fence, because if you go over the fence, whoever touches the mountain is going to die. That's the way to make a sayag. That's the way to make a fence. Which means when the rabbis come along and they put into place a concept called Muktzah, or when the rabbis come along and they put in all various rabbinical prohibitions, what are they doing? They're making sure that we won't come to transgress the Torah prohibition, which is a lot more complicated. When a person transgresses the Torah prohibition, the repercussions are enormous spiritually. the person transgresses a rabbinical prohibition, the repercussions are less. And that's exactly what the rabbis were trying to do. I once heard a very interesting mashal, which I think it makes perfect sense. You've got a community that lives up on the top of a mountain somewhere. So the mountain comes to a plateau, and they're all living up there, and there's nothing to stop anyone from just stepping off the side of the mountain. Of course, if they do that, they'll plummet to their death. So they decide, the community decides, what are they going to do? They decide they're going to put up a fence going around the mountain, the edge, to make sure that nobody's going to go walk off by mistake. and they, in order to put up the fence properly, they've got to take away a little bit of the edge of the mountain that's going to be dedicated to having the fence on it. No one in their right mind is going to come to the governing body of that community and say, "What are you doing? This is my space, right? Don't take this away from me. I want this space." No one's going to do that, because everybody understands what? They understand that the fence is there to keep them safe. Right? No fence, and there's no safety.
Can I ask something?
Yeah. Just 1 second. So what's the pshat? The pshat is exactly what the rabbis are doing. They're putting a fence around something. Are they making our lives more difficult? Yeah, they are. On a practical basis, they're making our lives more difficult. But on a spiritual basis, they're making our lives an awful lot safer. Which is everybody here. I'm sorry to use the current environment that we live in. But I don't know. I remember when there weren't fences going around the yeshiva. The yeshiva was an open place, and you could come and go, and there weren't locks on the doors, and you could come in and go out, and it was open, and it was just, people from all around the area would pass through this path over here to get from one side to the other. There was nothing, no reason why you shouldn't. And then, whatever it was, 10 years ago, I don't know, with the Intifada, so it became apparent that they had to do something in order to try to make things a little bit safer over here. So they put the fence all the way around the yeshiva. I don't think anybody in their right mind would come and complain and say that, you've put this fence up, and now I've got to walk around instead of walking through, and that's not fair. Take the fence down. Because everybody understood the function of the fence. Everybody understood why it was there, what the necessity for the fence was. That's the way we're supposed. I've heard lots of people complain about rabbinical mitzvahs. I really have. They come and they say, what are the rabbis saying? They're making our lives more difficult. What do they think they're doing? It's not true. The rabbis are making our lives safer by allowing us to remain within a certain parameter, because if we step outside of that, it's going to cause all kinds of spiritual problems if we transgress Torah prohibitions. Yeah, I'm sorry, you want to say something?
Within my understanding of Eruv and what that's supposed to accomplish, my question is it rabbinic in nature that if you are going to carry something on Shabbos, and it with the intention of it being consumed, is then that not Muktzah? If you have the intention of taking it with you.
I think we have to work out. We have to make a differentiation over here. Muktzah is a specific problem. What you're describing is a different problem. Which Muktzah is simply the rabbis coming along and saying that you shouldn't touch this thing, because if you do, then it's going to lead to something worse than what you're doing right now, right? And that's why pens are Muktzah on Shabbos, not because there's anything wrong with a pen, but you might come to write with it. What you're describing as taking something out and carrying it on Shabbos, even if it's going to be eaten, that's a Torah prohibition of carrying Daled Amos, carrying a certain amount in a place where you're not allowed to carry. That's a different problem altogether, right? You're going from something called Rishus HaYachid. You're going from a private domain into a public domain. You're walking in the public domain with what it is that you're carrying, and those are Torah prohibitions.
Even with an Eruv.
Oh, so if you've got an Eruv going around, then that's not a problem.
Okay.
There's nothing.
The idea of consuming it, does that
No
have
problem.
anything to do with it?
No problem
Nothing at all?
whatsoever. She's,
Oh.
I don't know what you're referring to, but if you're sort of like walking out with a bag of bisley or something, and you want to eat it on the way, there's no problem whatsoever.
Or an unopened bottle of wine or bread that you want to share. Okay.
I mean, I don't know how you're going to share an unopened bottle of wine unless you have a corkscrew with you as well. But that's more of a practical issue than.
I wondered why that I didn't get to have a taste of that wine.
You should have done. I had a guy came for Shabbos once years ago, and he brought us a bottle of wine as a gift, and he drank it himself.
Really?
I opened it up thinking this is like the right thing to do, and then he worked his way through this bottle of wine by himself. He wasn't even French; he was English. Imagine. And he, I mean, I could have been worse. Maybe we would come with sandwiches or something. Imagine, but so you could do that. I once went to my cousin's for Shabbos for Friday night. And on the way there, I'd bought a bottle of wine. It was a very nice bottle of wine. And on the way there, I dropped it. So I came to his house holding the what's this piece? The neck, whatever, like the neck, all wrapped up with a cork and everything. And the rest of the bottle and the wine was on the floor somewhere, in the street. I just wanted to let him know that this is what you're not having for Shabbos. But it's okay. You can transfer from one place to another things that are going to be eaten, things that aren't going to be eaten. It's a lot less complicated, but you can only transfer things that have some kind of a connection to Shabbos. What you need for Shabbos, which is you can't, you can't sort of take with you things that you've got absolutely no intention of using whatsoever, simply because it's more convenient for you to take it with. That's something you can't do.
Thank you.
I think what's that? I think maybe we'll stop over here, but not that we really started today. But tomorrow, in Muktzah Hashem, maybe this is a good idea. Tomorrow, maybe we'll start talking about the concept of carrying, and how to carry. What this concept of an eruv is, which is really rather odd, actually. The idea of an eruv of just putting up some wires, and then all of a sudden you can carry around on Shabbos. But maybe we'll talk about that tomorrow.